YouTube, this is Shirley426, and today we have the review of the 1 to 100 scale Grimgerde from Gundam Iron Blooded Orphans, or Gundam IBO. Now, this is just a 1 to 100 scale because I believe Season 1 of the series, they didn't actually call these full mechanics, but starting from Season 2, or at least at some point they started calling them full mechanics. But I believe when the Grimgerde was out, they didn't use that term. Okay, so I got this kit because mainly for two reasons. Number one, before the end of 2019, I had to spend about $30 to $40 extra, and then I was looking for something to purchase, and I found this, and yeah, the main reason I had to spend extra $30 to $40 is because there's a certain amount of payment that I have to actually pay, or it's basically I have to purchase a certain amount to keep my Gundam Base membership ranking. So because of that, I bought this. Number two, I remember this when this came out, everybody was like hyping over it. Like they say this was like the best kit ever, or whatever. Now I didn't doubt you guys, but of course, when it comes to reviewing some kits that are very hyped up, it becomes a problem because it's really hard to give a opinion. Because everybody's just loving the kit so much that to the point where if I say something negative about it, there might be some backfiring issues. But I think the hype is done now. I think the hype is dead. So I think it's a good time to check this kit out for myself. And I actually do now understand why there was such a big hype regarding this kit. Alright, so let's get on to the review. So for background information, this is basically from the Iron Blooded Orphans series, as I mentioned, from Season 1. This is not a Gundam frame, nor the same frame as the Graves frame. As far as I know, this frame that it uses inside is called the Valkyrie Frame, which was made around the same era as the Gundam frames, but only less. Because of that aspect, this wasn't like mass produced. Only a few of them were made, according to Gundam Wiki. There's a theory that there's only about 10 of them made, so who knows? But I believe this frame also became the base for making the Gabriel and the Grey, so who knows? But the characteristics of this frame is that it's very nimble and agile, so it's basically speed based, or very, something like that. So it's not really based on power or strength, it's more about speed, I guess. And after me building this kit, I definitely actually enjoyed it, mostly for the fact that it's very sturdy and not anything, or there's nothing going loose at the moment, because I remember for building the HGIVO kits, they could become pretty loose at some point, or pretty soon, I have built one full mechanics, and once again it didn't really feel that satisfying because there are some parts that just felt like it's going to get loose pretty soon. But this one I have no problem with that. Of course, there is one aspect of the kit that I'm kind of worried about, but I'll get into that later. So anyway, let's talk about components. So first of all, what you get, of course, is obviously the mobile suit itself, the Grimgerde, and basically its frame. Hand-wise, I'm currently using the fully open hands for left and right. And then you get the Valkyrie shields for each arm, and then Valkyrie swords for each arm. So, yeah. And then other than that, here are the stuff that you're supposed to get. So we get the Valkyries Rifle, I believe. Yeah, pretty simple looking rifle. Now, I don't think this is like a machine. It doesn't really fire like a machine gun. It should fire like a normal gun. But definitely looks like one of those typical Zaku machine guns because of this ammo case or ammo pack. But once again, the interesting thing is that you can move the ammo pack up or onto the side, because you are able to actually store this onto the back of the skirt. So, yeah. I'm not a big fan of these kind of designs, but hey, it's there. And also the back stock is connected to a peg, not on the middle, but just on the side. So you can also fold this, when you're folding or storing it into the bag, you can do this. And I believe this is not a peg, this is like a ball joint connection, if I remember correctly. And we have a handle that doesn't move, but has the hold and peg system. It has one for each side, meaning that we can use it for left and right, either side of the hand. I think most kits is like that, but I could be wrong. So we have the hands which are pretty much meant for the rifle and the sword. So yeah, of course, if you're gonna use these hands, you have to swap out the hand guards. Yeah, and then we have a action-based connector. Other than that, here are the stickers and the polycaps. So here are the leftover polycaps, nothing too special. Pretty much, it's really rare to see a kit that uses every single polycap that's given. But yeah, I mean, they exist, but not too common if you ask me. And then here we have the stickers. I only use the one that meant for the back camera, and then there's one for the visor on the armor. Of course, I didn't use it because they actually do provide a clear green piece, or not exactly I mean, it is a clear piece, but and it does have a little bit of green, but still not too powerful. So, which is why they do provide this. But as you know me, I'm not a big fan of putting stickers on top of clear parts, so I didn't use these. Now, I could have just called it a metallic green, but somehow, for some reason, my brain wasn't working when I was building this, so I did not. Okay, let's get on to the review now. Okay, so once again, I actually did enjoy and actually do like this kit as well. I can't say it's the best, but I definitely like the kit for how sturdy it feels. So let's start with the head. Now, the head, very interesting head. Definitely gives out, well, if you without the horns, it definitely gives out that knight motif. But at the same time, with the horns, it definitely gives that Viking Legends theme look. And I believe, well, the head was kind of interesting because it had this front visor or front guard kind of is able to move for some reason. And then you can open this up to reveal the eye. That mono eye is, I believe, you can move the mono eye as well. Yeah, you can actually move the mono eye as well. And that yellow section you see on the center is not a sticker. That's actually a separate piece. So that's one thing I was pretty impressed about. And when you're building these 1-to-100 scale kits for the IBO series, I believe they start you off on building the inner frame entirely first, and then you actually add on the armor on the outside. So that's also a fun build because I actually do, one of the main touches I liked about this kit is that these white pipes going all over the places. So yeah, it definitely gave me a different impression compared to a Gundam frame, because the Gundam frames, I mean, granted they look like they have a lot of pistons or pipes, but they're all in the same color, so yeah. Okay, so we've seen the head. So the head can go down that much, up that much, and then 360, I can't say it's possible because we have these neck guards. I hope that's what you call it, but yeah, we have this neck guard thing going on here, and then we have this thing on the chest that is capable of moving. Let's go look at the back. Now, it's really hard to say this thing has a backpack, but I believe these sections are the thrusters because, yeah, this thing was used in space as well, so there's gotta be some sort of thruster system going on here. Yeah, but yeah, for some reason, while you're building, it doesn't really make sense, but yeah, it is able to move a little bit up and down. But of course, yeah, if you want to make it look natural, you have to make them look on the same angle. And then body-wise, I believe we do have some movement here, but yeah, or maybe not. I might be confused. So for some, yeah, we do have a ab crunch going on here, but it's very stiff that you can kind of see me struggling. There we go. So there is an ab crunch, but not the type of ab crunch that you want to move every day. And then for shoulder-wise, these shoulders were very big than I thought. And then the interesting part when building this kit is that when you're building or adding on the shoulder armor and the body armor on the main section, they actually require you to take off the arm again from the frame and then reattach it. But either way, shoulder movement wise, there is a forward and backward movement going on here. You can see that it's actually not the shoulder itself moving, it's the side of the body moving together. So yep. And then we do have a typical connection here, which means we can go 360 on the arm itself. And just to make sure I don't break anything, I'm just gonna take this part off. So you can see the Valkyrie shield and sword, they're connected together, and then they're connected, the connection point is with a peg, but here it's also connected with a ball joint. So be careful not to force it out or twist it, because sometimes some ball joints, when you're trying to twist it, it's just too stiff to the point where you might actually snap it off. I have actually had that case with a HUC Akai. And then the way how the shield is connected, I mean the sword is connected, is that we have a separate connecting point here. Where is it? So yeah, there we go. So on the sword we have this kind of L-shaped peg here, or latch going on here, and then you connect it to this section right over here. Now this side, I believe this is not the side that I have issues, or maybe it is, but yeah, we have this connection. So most of the series he would just pull the swords out like this and then use it as a weapon, but there were also some times where he actually held the sword on his hand. So yeah, this is the main part that I'm kind of iffy about. I don't think this is the main issue, but I believe on the other side it's more loose on this section. So yeah. And then this section here, I believe, is kind of also works like a ball joint connection here. So yeah, you will feel that this will move like a lot. And there we have the sword. Nothing too. I mean, it's a pretty natural looking sword if you ask me. I believe this is I believe while the color looks similar, the one that are used on Bile is kind of different. I believe the length is a little bit different. Okay, so I just want to get one side of the arm cleaned out so I can show you guys the articulation. So the shoulder also moves on its own, but you can see how the connecting point is. Now, because how big those shoulders are and the way how this thing moves, it's really kind of hard to go 90 degrees to the side, but it's enough if you ask me. Yeah, here's a more better idea how the shoulder moves. You can see there how the connection is over there. Oh, yeah, I keep moving the body, but yeah, that's how it works. And then on the arm itself, we have your typical 360 twist, and then we have a nice double jointed bend going on here, and your hands are your typical ball jointed hands. And as you just saw with the body, oops, what's going on? Okay, on the body we have a nice 360 twist on the body itself. Of course, I don't think there's no reason to go 360. I still stand by that point, but yeah. Okay, and then we have the side skirt, kind of a odd position, or kind of an uncommon way to show the position, but it still works. I forgot how it's connected. So the main skirt armor, side skirt armor, is actually connected to a peg right over there. You can see there, and the connection is, I believe, not a ball joint. So that's another uncommon thing. Usually we would see these things like that, just slapped on as a ball joint, but still, it works. And since the armor is on the peg, you are able to reposition it in any position you want to do so. And then we have the back skirt. The back skirt does not move at all, and then the front skirt moves a little bit up like that. So yeah, and there, yeah, the middle front skirt, not the actual like front skirt, but yeah, the crotch area. Yeah, let's call it that. And then we have the legs. Now the legs have a nice side swivel going on. Of course, because of the armor design, the arms will collide with each other. No problem, no big deal. The legs can go. Well, it can go to the back, but because of the back skirt armor, and then every armor is colliding in the inside, you can't go that much, but you can go about 90 degrees or a little bit more depending on how you do it. A little bit, and then we have a nice double jointed bend going on here, and then you can see there's a white pipe system going on there. I actually do like that extra white pipe touch. And your feet, yeah, very interesting. I believe the lower section is actually connected to a ball joint, and then we can see the way how the connection is. We should be able to do this. Something just fell off, and yeah, as you can see, the sword just fell off. So that's the part that I'm a little bit iffy about. The connection here is not the best connection. But going back to the feet, we have a nice pivot. Yeah, keep forgetting what that term. And at least I am happy about the feet being actually flat, because I believe some of the kids from IBO, their feet are in the design of the high heels, which I'm not a big fan of. And then, yeah, we can go forward and backward as well. And yeah, that's basically it for the articulation. So I guess we can now go on with the equipment. So I'll be right back with the first set of equipment. Okay, I'm back with the first set of equipment. So currently I'm basically doing the, on one hand, I gave him the rifle, and then the other hand, instead of giving him the sword onto the hand, I just pretty much flipped up the sword. So basically the way how this thing works is basically, give me a moment. So all you need to do is pretty simple. It's just, the sword is pretty much going to be in this position, and then all you need to do is just pretty much flip it back, open up. So when it comes to combat, I guess this is very efficient, and the arm just popped out. But I would assume that when you're actually swinging the sword, it's not going to be as effective as you think. So I still think like actually wielding the sword and then slashing through with your own arm would be much more better. But I guess this is also another efficient way of using the sword. Yeah, it works pretty well. And then the rifle itself, actually, let me just get this part off. The rifle itself works pretty well. I mean, it has the whole impeg system, so there's no problem going on here. Of course, now having that extra backstock may get in the way. So basically, if you've ever used a rifle, you know why there is a backstock here. So either way, it works pretty well. And now I'll be back with the second set of equipment, which is going to be basically this kid holding each sword. But there's one part that I want to point out, because on the manual it was really hard to understand why they pointed this certain section out. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back with the last set of equipment. So as I mentioned, I pretty much have the hands on. I attached the swords to the hands without having them on the shield itself. It works pretty well, and once again, all you need to do is just take off the hand, disassemble it and then reattach the sword, because the hand and the sword also has the sword and peg system going on here, and once you have it on, there's no reason for them to be falling off. And also what I did is I attached or connected the gun to the back skirt armor. Now on the manual they don't really tell you to flip or fold the back stock here, but I would assume sometimes this part would get in the way, so what I usually like to do is just fold it inside and then go like this, so it doesn't really get in the way in many stuff. And while the handle and the sword itself can be separated, and this is the part where I actually got really confused by looking at the manual, so I'm just going to take off the hand right over here. So this is the sword. The way how this works is that we have the top section and the handle section. It can pop out pretty easily. Actually, let me get a shield as well. So on the manual, it was very odd. I didn't really understand why they were asking to do this, but I believe when you're first building the sword, they would give you the instructions like this or something, I believe. And then they ask you to attach the shield like this, which is fine. I mean, it doesn't really matter where the peg is, because the peg doesn't actually get in the way in any performance. But yeah, but in the manual, what they tell you to do is that if you want to have the sword, and then they tell you to just unpeg it like this. But the process is very odd. They first tell you to do like this, and then do it again. So I feel like they kind of overdid it with the manual, to the point where it makes the user very confusing, or onto the point where it asks, like, why is that necessary? I mean, you can always have the sword peg going on the inside, on this section right over here, and it wouldn't have a problem as far as I know. Because the handle, sure, maybe, okay, depending on the angle, I guess it could collide with it, but I did not have that issue too much as well, because it works perfectly fine without having the peg on the inside as well. So that was one part that really kind of confused me as well regarding the manual. But other than that, this was definitely a fun kit, and I can understand why people wanted to see more Valkyrie frames. I mean, at least in Season 2, this, the blue mobile suit, I forgot the name. I mean, I know the name, it's just I have no idea how to pronounce the name. Is that I personally don't like that design, but being a Valkyrie frame, and there's not being many of them out there, I guess I can understand why people want more of the mobile suits that's based on this frame. So yeah. And if you play the Gundam Cross Rays, the G Generation Cross Rays, you can see another Valkyrie frame based mobile suit, but it's not that great. But that's back to my point, is that I can understand now why this kit was so hyped up, and I definitely enjoyed the kit. It's firm, sturdy, and pretty fun to play with. There's a lot of posability and a lot of play value with it. And unlike most IBO kits, this doesn't use really much stickers. The only sticker that is actually given is the eye sticker and the back head camera, which I forgot to show you guys. Is that yeah, it's hey, where did it go actually? Yeah, it's supposed to be here somewhere, but yeah, oh yeah, it's not actually the back head camera. I forgot to mention, it's actually inside there, I believe. So so yeah, either way, the sticker wise, there's not many stickers. There's only 2 stickers, so it's no big deal, unlike other IBO kits. So I can see, if there's one kit I could suggest, it would be this kit as well. So anyway, thank you for watching the review. This was the review of the 1 to 100 scale Grimgerde. If you guys got any questions or requests, leave a comment below. I still have more stuff to buy and build and make reviews on, so please stay tuned. Until then, see you guys next time.